Hey, loves. So we're on the cusp of autumnal equinox, and I'm inviting you to the seasonal ritual immersion series that I will be focalizing for equinox. It'll start Friday. We begin Friday the 17th. We'll come together, we'll work with, I'll tell you the practice and our ritual art together. Then you'll have a window of time right on equinox to be in personal ceremony, and then we will gather together afterward. I'd love to have you join me. These have been really beautiful. We've done them almost for an entire cycle of the year. Um, whether or not you join me for that, I do want to touch in on some aspects of this this process, the possibility that we're going to be working with, which is to reconcile irreconcilables. I imagine you know why that is so profoundly relevant to our world right at this time, while it's just fracturing itself and polarizing itself into devastation, you know, into its own transformation. I want to go over 3 points about reconciling irreconcilables. So in the ritual immersion, we're going to be working with a specific practice from her mystery school that is about reconciling irreconcilables. Um, so I can't lead you through that here, but I can lead you through, or I can suggest to you a few of the aspects of it, just to kind of see how that unfolds in your being. So reconciling irreconcilables, you pick one, you know, it's really easy to see them in the world outside, right? It's really easy to see one side or the other, and the way that these often kind of fall into more and more opposition, strengthen each other's polarization until they start to rip the fabric of life apart. They rip the fabric of families apart, of love, of all sorts of things, right? When we work with reconciling irreconcilables, one of the most important things is we do not try to do that in the same state or mind frame or way of being that makes things irreconcilable. So when we are working with it, in deep feminine way, what are we doing? Always we're going under. We are accessing depth. We're accessing an ancient knowing, an indwelling knowing. We're accessing a wholeness that is underneath of all the circumstance. This is pretty ubiquitous in most spiritual traditions or any wisdom traditions, right? Here we're incorporating the female body, and specifically in this, we're working with the greater power, the greater movement of the seasons. We're aligning with natural law in that way. Most importantly, what we're doing is we're touching into a way, we're touching into holy wisdom, and choosing to anchor into that, to shift our state of being into alignment with that, instead of to participate in all of the various things that create irreconcilable ways of being. Right? So it's a little bit vague, but I think you could probably feel into it. It has to do with the way you're thinking. It has to do with the way that culture has been established, the way that relationship to God and the body has been established. There are fundamentals, right, in life that, it's kind of where one of the fundamental breaks has happened, where all of a sudden everything tried to become linear, everything tried to become controllable, everything tried to become nameable, right? Or at least culture has tried to do all these things, and in that it started to fracture and move further and further away from the inherent wholeness, the inherent harmony of the spheres, the harmony that wants to express through disparate aspects of creation. What we say about she, right, is that she resolves paradox. And every single time it's a miracle, because we don't think that way. And too much of the time, this is where we are. The mind cannot do that. It's not made for that. It's your fuller being. So what it means is we have to move into a deeper embodiment. We have to become more of what we are than what we were told we are, what we imagine we are, what we think we see, right? What we decided we believe, all of these things, it doesn't matter how important it is to you, it's right here. And so if we want to touch into holy wisdom and we want to draw up something from outside of that whole paradigm, we have to move down into the body. We have to move into our fullness without abdicating this, integrating this. So that's where we're moving in the practice, in the ritual immersion. But I would say that it's also just a guidepost. I'm not the first one to speak it, but you will not find the solution to what's irreconcilable in your world in the same place, state of mind that creates irreconcilables as a way of life, right? And it's amazing how much we're habituated, how much our overculture is founded upon ways of thinking, ways of being that create irreconcilables where they aren't, right? Because of just the nature, some of the fundamental assumptions and fundamental kind of gaps, right? So we're filling things in here with this practice. A second point about reconciling irreconcilables is that, and it's again what we'll be focusing on in this immersion, is it does actually start with you. And I know that's trite. However, it really does. If you can work with, and with this practice, we're working with the literal fabric of our beings. We're coming out of the mind. We are going to work with the fabric of life. We're going to work with, kind of just our power as to influence and to shape and to mend and to really change the world, right? And not just change our mind or someone else's mind. However, in our ritual immersion, what we're going to work with reconciling is something inside of ourselves, inside of our own being, inside of our own lives, choices that seem to be in opposition that we're faced with, rather than looking right now at the outer, right? Because it's from there. When you actually start to bring more coherency to your own being and you see how it's done in your own being and you earn your own confidence, you earn the knowing, the actual claimed knowing that it can be done, then you start to look out and you start to take on maybe some more of, whether in your side of yourself or in a broader context, take on some more of these polarized supposed irreconcilables in the world, right? But we're going to start here. And that means, that doesn't have to be esoteric. That could be seemingly irreconcilable choices. Do I have a baby or not? Do I marry this person or not? Do I commit to my art career, or do I take this, or my art, or do I take this 9 to 5 to support myself and bring security? There are in your life, in the very specifics of your life, everything, all of natural law, all of creation is present. So this process of reconciling irreconcilables is right here with you. And what we're going to work with is that because it's true. You can't both have a baby and not have a baby. You can see how that doesn't really come together. They seem to, in a very real way, kind of deny the possibility one of the other. That's why we go underneath and we work to bring you into wholeness so that the choice you make, whether it's this or that, or most likely something in between, something you hadn't thought about, is a choice that is coherent in your being, right? We're going to look towards the sacred need underneath of these irreconcilables. We're going to look toward what each one of these paths promises, offers, what we need from them, and we're gonna draw that together and weave it into something else, right? So that we don't have to exist in a world where so many things are important to us, but we can only have, we have to lose aspects of ourselves, or we can't just find the peace of feeling intact right? This is about coherency, intactness, and a kind of self-mastery, a kind of self-initiated integration that is extremely empowering, right? The third point about reconciling irreconcilables, and it's connected very much to autumnal equinox. In spring equinox, we also worked with, in the ritual immersion, we're going to be working with the wisdom that heals, right? Where we're deepening our alliance. And the wisdom that heals is holy wisdom. She's not this thing or that side or this side or that action. She's not that. She is the one who directs us toward the right relationship of things, the right proportion of this versus the right proportion of that, the right timing of this versus the right timing of something else, right? Right action, not coming from an idea of what's right, a bunch of rhetoric about what's right, or even from somewhat sentimentalized or hopeful belief in what's right. All of that finds its true power in holy wisdom, who shows us what right action really is in this moment, outside of all that. And it's based more on right proportion, right timing, and right relationship, right? And what you can find through holy wisdom and through attuning to her and to her way of harmonizing. What you can find is connection to that which mends life, right? Harmonizes life, mends what has been fractured. So we're going to be going in equinox together towards a much deeper alliance with that which mends. And at this time, when there is an enormous amount moving, that is moving with the volition to fracture, moving with the volition, the unconscious or conscious intent to polarize, to villainize, to harden, right? All of that, we are moving towards holy wisdom. We're going to give ourselves a deeper alliance in that place so that we can navigate these times with a much more anchored, trustworthy alliance with that inside of us and around us that informs the right action every moment, right? Doesn't need us to harden. It doesn't need us to identify with anything. It doesn't need us to identify against anything. This is moment to moment to moment revelation of what and guidance. What now? In all of this unknown, in all this uncertainty, what now? And what now? And what now? And this will mend your life and will mend the world, right? Moving from this place. It doesn't make everything easy, but it gives you a deep alliance with holy wisdom, will give you the companionship of guidance, the support of natural law, right? And a root underneath of all the circumstances so that you can be of greater service to the circumstances around you, right? So that you can be the one to mend rather than the one to give way and just shatter and harden and participate in the fracturing, right? You can. Woman in particular was made for that. We mend, we weave things back together, right? When it's time, we lay things to rest. There's so much that we are instinctually capable of doing and instinctually gifted to understand. So at this time of autumnal equinox, it is a time of sacred pause, almost like a twilight, right? You're between summer solstice and winter solstice. You are literally between the light and the dark. Neither one. It is a profoundly aligned time to consider and to be close to that which is neither, right? The twilight in between. This place of sacred pause, of sacred balance, of um, of taking a moment, right, and opening to the harmony of the two, the balance point between the two, and finding poise there. As at least in the Northern Hemisphere, we prepare to go into the dark. We prepare to lay things to rest, right? So happy, blessed autumnal equinox to you. And if you want to join me, I'll put the registration below. We'll gather on the 17th to begin, and we'll be in practice together. We will be each in personal ritual together, or personal ritual, and then we'll come back together on the other side. It's been beautiful. These have been really beautiful. Great. Much love to you. Blessed be.